Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Johnson. You ever get discouraged in your faith? Get discouraged with life? Things don't seem to be going right. You can't understand why God is letting things happen the way He lets them happen, or why He causes them. Sometimes it's hard for us to know what He does because we don't think like He does. As a man of faith myself, at least I'd like to think I am, I get very discouraged sometimes. I get emotionally wrapped up in my own failures, in things that I wish I could accomplish, that I don't. And when I get emotionally wrapped up in some of the things that I can't do, I start to lose a little faith in the God that I love. I begin to wonder, well, why is He doing this to me? Or why do I have to go through this? Or why do I have to face some kind of tragedy that I didn't expect to face? And what can I do about it? How do I get stronger? Well, I think our best example in getting stronger in the faith is probably found in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, where Abraham was struggling so much with his own faith. I don't know how Abraham could do it. He led people that didn't believe in him. The people that came to him for strength would not listen to him. God had told him that he would have children. In his religion, it was necessary for him to have children because that's how they understood their everlasting life. And yet, Abraham was in his 90s. His wife was in her 90s. And they didn't have children yet. And Abraham was getting pretty discouraged. He got so discouraged, he went to his handmaiden and had a child through her, which caused us a lot of problems because that's what created some of the wars that exist now and then. But to have the faith of Abraham is not an amazing thing. I mean, it's not something that suddenly from lightning was struck into his head, suddenly some great miracle made him become a great man of God. You know, he took it the way we have to take it, step by step. We have to examine working our way towards Him, towards God. And there's no magnificent feeding of the 5,000, although that could have happened. There's no raising of the dead. There's the working on our hearts and our lives to figure out how we can make ourselves acceptable to the God that we want to believe in. And it's not easy to believe in God because your heart and mine is so miserably sinful. We don't believe that God knows what He's doing. We want to think that we have the answer to all of our problems, but we don't. And studying the example of Abraham is a good way to understand how we should build our faith. 18th chapter of Genesis, God said to Abraham, Abraham, I'm going to make you take your son up to Mount Moriah. You're going to sacrifice him. Abraham said, what? To take his son, the one thing that he loved, that he had begged God for, that God promised him, that made him wait all these years, and now Abraham was going to have to sacrifice him. It doesn't make sense. But when God is working, what He does doesn't have to make sense. God doesn't have to answer to us. God loves us. He'll take care of us. But He has His ways of doing things. And one of the strongest experiences of faith is simply believing He is. And He is a rewarder of those who diligently follow Him. That's what Abraham tried to do. It was his son who said, Dad, where's the sacrifice? We're going up to Mount Moriah to perform the sacrifice to God. Where's the sheep? Well, he was to find out later that he was the sheep. And you can believe that God's understanding and orders were breaking Abraham's heart. Imagine that step-by-step walk. Imagine the conversations they must have had and how difficult it was for Abraham to talk to his son, because as far as Abraham knew, not only was this his last journey with his only son, the hope of the future, but he was going to have to sacrifice his son to God. It didn't make any sense at all. They get to Mount Moriah, and his son very obediently puts the sacrifice pieces together, the wood, the hay, and gets things dry and makes sure that everything is there for the fire, starts the fire, and then in the 22nd chapter asks his father, well, Dad, where's the sacrifice? And Dad says, it's you, son. Can you imagine the heartbreak? Can you imagine the pain? I don't know what kind of pain you're going through. I don't know what kind of heartbreak you've got. But can you imagine what kind of heartbreak Abraham had to face because he was going to sacrifice his only hope, his son? And up to the point where the knife was raised, placing the son on that sacrifice, and then raising the knife, Abraham about ready to sacrifice, when the angel of the Lord, probably Jesus himself, stopped Abraham's hand and said, put your knife in your sheath, because now I know you trust me, and you will do whatever I ask you to do, even if it breaks your heart. Because you're willing to do it, Abraham, you will always be my friend. That's what God said to him. He called Abraham his friend. What a hard life that must have been. What a very difficult understanding of heartache and pain, and thinking you're going to have to sacrifice your own son, and then God stopping him and saying, no, I was just testing you. God tests you? Whatever it is you're going through may very well be a test. How you doing? How's this test going that you have to face? The understanding of whatever it is you're trying to learn or God's trying to teach you. Are you learning it? Pick up that Bible more often. Read it casually. Don't read it laboriously. Take it easy and look it over and enjoy the soft reading of the Bible. Enjoy devotionals that you can get a hold of. Listen to preachers that you can believe in, that will help you assimilate and associate with a God that loves you, that you can learn to trust, that you can come to believe in, who doesn't make any sense. Why would he sacrifice Isaac, God, Abraham's only son? Why would God make Abraham go through that journey and that long walk? And then finally be able to test himself, because God wanted to call Abraham his friend. And after that experience, God said to him, from now on, you are my friend. Are you a friend of God? I'm trying to be. I don't know if I have that much faith. I'm trying to gain that much faith. I'm trying to listen to him. I'm learning every day a little bit more. And it's no small thing to be a friend of God. Might make you have to sacrifice your son or your daughter or your family or your job. I don't know what. I don't know how God thinks. But oh Lord, whatever it is you want me to do, in my very humble disobedience, may I learn to obey you and believe in you. Thank you for watching.